All Indian country, do I have a treat for you? I'm joined in the INFR After Hours studio with the one and only Mr. Coleman Proctor. Coleman has won nearly $200,000 this year in the PRCA, over $1.5 million throughout his career, and qualified to the INFR 8 times. Coleman, it's a pleasure to have you on here, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me. What a neat setup, man. I tell you, this is a little fancier than I'm used to. Toter Tales, we don't quite get all this technology, but man, it's been great. What a fun experience. It's so great to be out here at the INFR, and man, just wishing the week had gone better, but man, I've had such a great experience. It's so much fun. Always a pleasure to get to be out here. How's it been going from the announcer standpoint? That's what I want to, because you've had to do a lot of interviews, right?
Yeah.
Like every round champion. Yep. And I want to know, as a guy that's kind of trying to get a little bit into the media, how do you deal with a guy that doesn't really talk?
It's tough. When you put a microphone in somebody's face and they're not ready for the question, you got to start thinking about plan B, right? Everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth, and sometimes those yeses and
Absolutely.
What'd you think of the go-round? It was good.
I saw it the other night. It was so awesome. And you handle it so well, man, and congratulations on all that. So it's really cool. But thanks for having me in here tonight.
Yeah, you bet. From Pryor, Oklahoma.
Yes, sir.
I kind of live
They
close.
call that God's country, by the way.
It's funny because I live kind of close to Pryor, Montana, but I bet it looks a little bit different.
So one time I had first moved to Pryor, Oklahoma, and I was going to go play golf, right? So I just Google golf course, Pryor Creek Golf Course. And did you know there's a Pryor Creek Golf Course in Huntley, Montana?
I do. That's
that I called and made a tee time.
Did you?
Yes. So when I show up at the golf course, I'm like, I made a 10:30 for Coleman Proctor. They're like, we have no record of you. So I totally no-showed them that day at Pryor Creek Golf Course, Huntley, Montana.
Yeah.
In case you're wondering.
Pryor Creek, it's a half public course, half private course, so I bet they weren't too happy about that one. They got to get their licks where they can get them. Come, let's talk about the INFR. What do we have at stake this year? Obviously world titles, but we got cattle to be really fast in all the roping events. We got a lot of wolves out in the team roping, the tie-down roping, a lot of veterans, a lot of new faces as well. It's kind of been a beautiful mix of 50-50 of new guys, world champs, household names.
Logan? Yeah, I think the first year that I came out here was 2018, and I actually won second in the team roping after we missed the first one. Like, we came back and did really good in the next few go-rounds and ended up winning second to Ed Hawley and... Oh, honestly, I forget healers, not because they're not important. Thank you, Logan. But, you always, like Ed Hawley had that black head horse of his. Yep. And anyways, Miles John, that's who he's roping with. But we won second to them, and like now the competition level, it's just insane. Like, it's so great. And I think that is, one, it's such a huge compliment to where rodeo is as a whole. As a whole product, you got kids coming on. You see like the Ben brothers, Wawa and them show up at Cheyenne this year and just take it to them. I don't know how much they got out of Cheyenne with. I know it was quite a bit. And, the competition level at the INFR has done nothing but just shoot through the roof since I first started coming out here. And it's definitely, this is my favorite week of the year in Vegas. My wife and I would kind of take a little vacation, left the kids at home, and we get to come out here and hang out, get to, have a lot of camaraderie with the contestants and the people and stuff that we don't get to do during the national finals. And, you really just get to take it in a lot more. And the competition level, like I said, is just so massive now that, there's no days off out here. And the go-rounds pay so good. And I want one of those go-round buckles so bad, right? And not to mention an Indian world title. I mean, how cool is that? You get to see all my heroes have been world champions, it seems like, in the Indian finals. So, last year I entered the calf roping. They had the last chance qualifier. Got through it. The first one running, I'm 10. And I'm thinking round one, it was like I hadn't really ran one in competition since about college age. And I'm gonna be honest with you, that's a lot longer than I could care to talk about. But I'm on my feet. I'm running to him, and I'm thinking, hey, I haven't fell yet. You know what I mean? And I tie him down, and I place maybe in the round, come back, tie my next one the same time. I was 10-3 on both of them. And I'm thinking, do I need to buy a calf horse? Like, is Shad really need to get worried right now? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know where my ceiling is. And I found it right out here. But it was great because, man, like, the trailer, and what makes guys like me enter more events is like, man, they give the all-around trailer now. I mean, you look at the stuff, just the prize packages for all the world champions, let alone with getting to go up on stage, after the go-rounds, getting to talk to you. I mean, there's just so much coolness to it now that, like I said, I've just been so blown away by the competition level. And like the cattle this year have been amazing. I thought in the team roping it's been the most even set of steers, especially when you get 32 contestants. I mean, I'm the Prairie Circuit Finals director, and I thought I had a great set of steers picked last week, and they ended up being terrible. You know what I mean? And I just had to have 12. Like, and then to get 32 cattle like they had done in all the events that I've seen on the timed event side, it's done a great job. Just nothing but a big tip of the hat. Anybody's had a chance to show up here and win, and I think that's all you can ask for at a big finals.
Exactly. With the competition level being so high, I mean, you've competed at the top of the top, right? Like, you've been just about everywhere you could have gone in the PRCA circuit. The focus there obviously is second to none, but what I'm hearing from you is it doesn't change when you get down to Vegas for the Indian Finals in October. The competition level is so high that you have to bring everything you've got.
Yeah, there's no safety up. You know, there's no showing up here on a green horse or something you're thinking about. I mean, you got to bring the A game every time, and that's why I told my wife my big goal this week was to execute at a high level. You know, I thought last year I didn't head as good here as I needed to. And I think that anytime, you know, Jake Long and I were talking about this just the other day, about any time that you have a lot of accountability to yourself, no matter where you're at and what you're doing, whether it be the practice pen. You know, the other day we were practicing, and he came up, and like we don't even rope together anymore. We're just best friends, and we love to hang out, you know, with each other. And he came up and rope, and we run scenarios in our practices, and we have fun doing it because like we don't rope together at the jackpots. We don't rope together at the rodeo. So, like, we really don't care what the other one thinks that much in a professional manner. You know what I mean? It's just like two young kids roping the dummy and roping the goats again. Mm-hmm. And we were running steers at the Cody Johnson roping. That was our scenario. And we start trying to make these runs. And we do get on the first one, maybe the second one being like, oh, okay. And then the third one, we'd stub our toe. And we tried this several times. And it was funny because, like, he messes up once, I mess up once. And I said, man, it's funny how bent out of shape we're getting over a hypothetical scenario that we're not even entered with each other at the actual rope. And then he turns around and wins it. I had a great day too. And it's just neat how when you start taking accountability, and whether it be the practice pen, you know, especially when you show up here for the big money, you know, there's no backing off on it anymore. I mean, my job is set in stone no matter where I'm at, what I'm running for. Doesn't matter if it's just for the pride in the practice pen or if it's for $5. You know what I mean? I'm a competitive person. I want to win as bad as anybody in the world. And I know that if I stick to my basics and do my job and hold myself to a high standard, that those things are possible.
It's funny that you say that because every kid in their driveway with a basketball and a cardboard back or a plywood backboard hoop is sitting there thinking NBA Finals, Game 7, free throws on the line. It doesn't change what level of experience you have, right? Like those, you got to put yourself in those situations to be successful.
Absolutely, and I still do it to this day. I mean, when I backed in the box of the American in 2019, I ran one for $500,000, and you know it was so funny because I told myself walking towards the box because people want to mic me up. Sometimes I've had sponsors try to mic me up, and I'm like, hey, some of this stuff you might not want to put out there. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Because I do talk to myself a lot. Like it's a conversation that I have with myself a lot of times when I'm walking the box. You'll see me sometimes. I got to talk to that bay head horse of mine. Like at the finals when he's shaking his head and acting a fool. And but you know it's funny because when I'm walking towards the arena that day, like as I'm coming in to run the last one, I tell myself, man, I've run this one 1,000 times in the barn. You know what I mean? When it's freezing cold outside and everybody else is inside enjoying the fire, maybe watching Monday Night Football, I'm out here grinding, running this last one with the American for $500,000. And so I think that's where it starts. You know, I think young kids, they do so great. You see them in the stalls roping the dummies and everything else. And then pretty soon you see them entered here at the juniors. And then pretty soon you see them, here at the INFR. And then pretty soon you see them at the NFR. I mean, it just comes right up the ladder. And I think it all starts when you start running those scenarios in the barn, when it means something, like whenever you have a little pride to it. And I think that's ultimately what takes guys to the next level. Like that's when you get that passion that early, that young, that you're willing to chase it that early, then there's no stopping you.
Because these young kids that are down in the stalls, they got a rope in their hand before they can walk most of the time. Like they're stumbling, bumbling around, but they're doing rope tricks. They're twirling the rope, and they're looking up to people's like Dustin Bird, Santa Jenny, Rogers, the Begay family, the Benz, you now. What is that like walking through with those little kids and having all eyes on you?
It's so funny because, like, honestly, I'm just still a little kid myself. You know what I mean? Like, I rope the dummy with them, and I do the same stuff. And it's funny because, people stop me and they want a picture or something. I'm just still the simple Northeast Okie who just wanted to do this. And I do think this is important. Like the other day, I got to talk to the juniors, and this is one thing I wish I'd have hit on is, the biggest way you become successful, no matter what you're trying to do in life, is you got to take a dream, and then you got to, if you write it down, then it becomes a goal. And if you write it down every day, like one of two things is going to happen. You're either going to achieve it or you'll stop writing it down, right? And my penmanship's gotten pretty good because I've stayed tenacious with that. And I think, you see those kids every day when I'm going to feed and they're roping the dummies and they're running one and they're doing this. I mean, it's the same stuff we did growing up. I was in the yard till midnight. My mom would have to come get me and make me go to bed, and just roping my homemade dummy, doing the same things everybody, that's what makes people great. And it's been great to see it, like you talked about earlier, is the competition level rises. It's just, it's all parallel. I mean, just from the way they start working from the ground up, they have a rope in their hand before they can walk, all the way to when you see them, and I'm having to deal with them at Cheyenne, and the opening guys are going, who's Wawa Ben? I'm like, well, he's fixing to come get your dough.
Yep.
Is what he's fixing to do, because I've been dealing with him at the INFR for about 3 years now.
Right. No, that's awesome. It's cool to see the way these youngsters take to your guys' example, like, and the new faces as well, not just the young people, but new players we have that come to the finals every year, because throughout the INFR tour we have qualifier rodeos.
Absolutely.
You come out and you win one of those rodeos, you just punch your ticket to Vegas, And the thing I love about this rodeo is because it's not anybody's game. Like, the thing I love most is that a lot of the new players come in here and the competition level rises. They know what's at stake. They know who they're competing against. That's when you start seeing go-around wins from people you may not have heard of, but they take fire to it and it just keeps rolling.
And I think it all comes back to, the sponsor help that you guys have got. I mean, like, it's been at the South Point since 2008. Like, what a neat venue. What a great spot. I remember watching, I've been watching the INFR since it first really got publicized on a TV platform where you could see it. I would watch it at the house. Think, man, I need to figure out how to get out there. And then now it's built in my schedule where we work the tour rodeos to make it out here. Like, it becomes just, we're going to go to the Indian finals, so we got to figure out what rodeos we can work, how we're going to get there. And I think just all the sponsor help and how much money this thing pays. I mean, you get to win big money when you get out here. I mean, $3,000 go-rounds, like, I rodeo for a living. Like, that's big money. That's big opportunity that's in front of you. And you get 4 of those plus the average. You put all that besides you want to be a world champion. You just look at the money factor. I mean, here we are coming into winter. You're fixing to get into the holidays, obviously. And, like, this makes a lot of change and a lot of difference in a lot of people's lives.
I agree with you. The thing that makes this special, in my opinion, is that everybody – I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people who have the dream to go rodeo pro, they can go to the PRCA. There's really no, I guess, criteria. Obviously, you have to earn your permit and you have to get through that whole deal, but Indian country has something special and unique to itself, to where that buckle that says Indian World Champion can't just be attained by anybody. Like, you have to have tribal descent. And it's cool that we're not excluding people, but Indian country for a long time has waited for this moment, something to call its own, something to bring to the table with world-class talent. It's just outstanding that I think that we get to crown our own world champion.
Well, it definitely gives you a lot more to be proud of. You know what I mean? To me, it's, my grandfather, his family came over on the Trail of Tears. He spoke Cherokee until he was 16, didn't actually graduate the first grade until then. And, it's funny because I hear my buddies all rib me. They're like, you're Indian, whatever. And I'm like, no, that's a fact. It just... Nobody kept marrying into the Indian culture, and that's why I'm a quarter Cherokee now, and but it's so special, and it means so much to us. Like you said, it's not everybody can do this. Not everybody can back in here and have a chance to make it to Vegas. So if you can be the best in Indian country, then honestly you can be the best in the world.
You talk about your grandfather being from Cherokee descent, right? Going through the whole generational issues that we've had for so long of hardships, right? All that trial and tribulation. Would you say that the Indian finals and the Indian circuit has kind of brought to light some more of your cultural appreciation?
Well, I don't think my dad would ever let me get away with not appreciating being Indian.
Right, but
you know what I mean?
Has it grown and have you appreciated it a little more?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's any time that you put a spotlight on something like this and then you get your opportunity to talk about where you come from and what you do, I think anytime you get a platform like that, it does make for opportunity to learn and to do great things. I think Derek Begay was the first one when he said, hey, you're not Cherokee. I said, oh, absolutely. He said, well, talk some Cherokee to me. And when I was a kid, this is a true story. This is all I know, Cherokee. My dad taught me if we were in a fancy restaurant and I said, hey, I gotta go to the bathroom. He didn't want you saying that. So you had to say, I like a dika, which means I got to pee. So from this day, like from the time I was, 6 years old, I could speak a little bit of Cherokee. I like a dika, which means I got to pee.
I bet you finally got Derek to get a smile too.
Yeah, he did. He did crack a smile when he says, "Talk some Cherokee to me." I said, "I like a dika." He said, "What's that mean?" I says, "I got to pee."
And we got him to smile. This is what it's about right here, man. I just can't thank you enough for taking the time to come up here.
Hey, and thank you for putting a spotlight on what's going on out here. I think this is huge. People love following my videos because I talk about what's real in life, like what we got going on. Like here's really what's happening, and these are just contestants and people, and they're just like everybody else. They're if you see somebody that's on this couch, like you can be that person. You can put your mind to it, and you can come out here and you can make the finals. And if it makes a difference in two people's lives, and maybe they buy their Indian card next year, and they go to 3 or 4 extra rodeos, and they make it here, and it becomes a dream come true for them. Then I mean that's a big thing you've done in somebody's life, and I think that's so cool what y'all have done here this week. And I appreciate you letting me come on and visit with you. And man, I tell you what, I just couldn't be more proud to be out here. It hasn't been quite the week we look for. I always talk about how I'm either winning or learning. Either way, we're not losing. And this week's given me a lot of lessons to learn up on. So, that's valuable in itself. But we hope to make it back for the short round Saturday night and maybe get a little bit of money.
Heck yeah. Man, your words are worth their weight in gold. Thank you for talking at our senior back number ceremony. Your message there was outstanding. And like I said, man, I just can't thank you enough for being on here.
Hey, and that is one thing I do love about the Indian rodeos. You guys really honor, obviously heritage is huge, right? In every culture, every tribe, heritage is huge. And, all these senior events, having those guys out here, I mean, those are the guys we've looked up to our whole life. And, I'm big on giving it back where it's due. And I'll be honest, without the guys that came before us, you never would have gotten to this point. Like, I hope to be a person that makes a stake in the rodeo world that maybe that benefits somebody else down the road. And I want to see them go on and do bigger and better things, you know what I mean? And then maybe one day they say, well, I saw Coleman do this one time and I tried to make it better. That's a huge impression, because those were the guys that dealt with, me as a little dumb 14-year-old kid, and taught me the ways of the world. And they, you grow up so much more, and rodeo gives us so much to be proud of. And so I'm so big on giving back to those seniors that, having their own finals and their events. I just think it's so cool the way you guys really put them on a platform to show these youngsters the real ways of rodeo. And I think it's so cool how we can all give back to them. And obviously it goes right hand in hand with Indian country and how much we honor our heritage.
Right. Yeah. There's an old saying, I don't know who said it. It's a famous quote, but you can't tell where you're going unless you know where you've already been, right? And I think it's a perfect mix to have those juniors and seniors in the same performance, because I talked about it up in the booth today. These seniors give all of us something to strive for in our rodeo careers. And they've done so much already, and they're so humble about it, and they're still competing. Then you switch events, and you go to the juniors who are just now stepping foot into the rodeo arena, just swinging a leg over a horse. They're just learning about this stuff, and they have something to shoot for. With those seniors, they have high records to set because of what the groundwork that those seniors have laid for all of us.
It was so cool. Like when I seen, was it Leonard Williams? Was he the one that just brings smoke every time in the breakaway, right? And then you saw Wah Ben for the first time. First time I ever saw him was here at the Indian Finals in the breakaway. And you saw Leonard go hard, and then you saw Wah do the same thing. And then now you see, the success that Wah and his brother are obviously going to, continue to have. And I agree with you 1,000%. I think it's so cool the way you guys put them in the same perf, and you just show where it's been and then like where it's headed. And I think that's so neat.
Outstanding, man. I've really enjoyed our time. Indian country, this is one of a kind opportunity to get to know Coleman Proctor at a little deeper level. His words are worth their weight in gold. Juniors, if you're watching, you got a lot to look up to here. Coleman, I just can't thank you enough, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. And you guys have a blessed and continue have an amazing week. Thank you guys for everything you're doing for us. You guys have done such a great job putting on such an awesome show. Crowds are getting bigger. You guys entertain like with the best of them, and it's been so fun. Today I went and got me a hot shave, and then I was like, you know what, this looks too good to go back to the room. I got to go check out this perf today. You know what I mean? So I had to come catting around and see everybody. And, good. You guys have done a great job showcasing this event. And I just really want to say tip of the hat, because I know how hard it is in production, everything you guys have going on. This is a longer perf than a lot of, places are accustomed to. And you guys have done an amazing job. And just thank you for everything y'all do.
Appreciate that, man. Coleman Proctor,